Two topics we want to get to on today's Monday edition of Philadelphia 76ers Now. Number one, should the Sixers trade for Marcus Smart to bulk up their defense? And number two, we have a major Joel Embiid injury update. Stay tuned for all of that. First, thank you to all of the real ones. We have been building toward this milestone for a long time. And thank you so much for supporting the channel, myself, producer Chip, because we surpassed 20,000 subscribers right here on this channel. Long-form content here on YouTube, short-form content via YouTube Shorts and our Instagram page, and everything that we like to do. Informative, entertaining, insightful, thought-provoking, giving you a voice. So be sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you are subscribed, type me. We've seen a couple of people in the comment section over the last couple of months when we talk about trade targets mention Marcus Smart, and now there's another reason to have that conversation. Fansided's Christopher Kline proposed that the Sixers steal Marcus Smart from a rival. Now here is this post on X that the New York Knicks have had internal discussions about a potential deal for Marcus Smart. Per sources close to the situation, the New York Knicks have had rumored interest in Smart before. No deal imminent, but several sources indicated the Knicks are willing to be active on the market. As we know, Sixers have had a very busy offseason. They've made their splashes. The same can be said for the New York Knicks, as really the top three teams in the East jockeying for positioning right now: Boston, New York, Philadelphia, and I think there's a little bit of a gap with those other teams. And Marcus Smart is a really solid player. He was with Boston for so long, and he was critical to what they did. Boston did move off of him. They upgraded in a way with Jrue Holiday, and then they ended up winning that championship after they got close with Marcus Smart, who really was the heartbeat of that Celtics team for a long time and represented what that organization, the fan base, and the team are all about. So it was emotional for the Celtics to move off of Marcus Smart. When he went to the Memphis Grizzlies, you're thinking that could be a pretty good backcourt duo. Him and Ja Morant. Can he help Ja Morant mature a little bit? I saw an ad on TV the other day, which was clearly Ja Morant trying to get in the good graces of people. And last year, we didn't get to see that backcourt pairing a lot because Ja Morant was injured so frequently. Here's what Christopher Kline had to say in his Fansided article. The rare Defensive Player of the Year winner on the perimeter, Smart would just make the Knicks a tougher out. So what if the Sixers take the plunge instead? Philadelphia has the salaries to match and enough draft capital to pique Memphis's interest. It's unclear why the Grizzlies would be inclined to trade Smart at this juncture, but as a midseason target, should Memphis start slow, Smart is sure to drum up a market. Smart would become an instant fan favorite in Philadelphia. The threes fall often enough to keep him useful on offense, especially with his improvement as a playmaker in recent years. His defense, however, is the calling card. He can adequately defend 1 through 5 in a lot of matchups, and he's going to generate turnovers with his activity level and physicality at the point of attack. I'll call cap a little bit on him being able to guard the 5, like on switches and on mismatches when the defense has been out of position. Has Marcus Smart guarded the 5 at times? Has he been able to put a body and an elbow into the back of Joel Embiid when Embiid tries to back him down? For sure. But obviously, you don't want him playing the 5. He can just hold his own against the 5 from time to time. Last year, only 20 games played for him. He and Ja Morant injured last year. 14.5 points per game, 4+ dimes. Still an excellent defender. He won Defensive Player of the Year 2 seasons ago. His final in Boston, 2 steals per game. The field goal number is not good, but of course the sample size is pretty thin. 43% from the deck, 31% from three-point range. From 2019 to 2023, you flip the page and you look at those numbers, the three-point efficiency has never been spectacular. That's never been the strength of his game. It did seem as though when the Sixers and Celtics played against one another, he would always hit that dagger 3 seemingly, and the field goal numbers, not great either, but he can create, he can score the basketball from time to time, but really, It's the defense where he makes his impact be felt, and it's the defense where Marcus Smart has his calling card, and he can guard successfully a couple of different positions. And he's also a player who likes the big stage and in the bright lights because he's played pretty well when the temperature gets risen up a little bit. In the playoffs, 63 games, last 4 playoff trips, 15 points per, and the field goal number's pretty respectable there at almost 42% from the floor and 35% from three-point range. Those numbers up from what he's done in the regular season. Is a little bit of an expensive player, which kind of serves as the segue for the next portion of this conversation, because in the NBA, you have to match salaries when you do make a trade and a move like this. 2024, 2025, $20+ million. The year after that, $21.5 million. And you think about this from the Celtics standpoint, who would you rather have? Jrue Holiday, stellar defender, better offensive player, or Marcus Smart, stellar defensive player, average offensive player? It was a good move for Boston, and it helped propel them to the NBA championship. So coming up next here on the show, what could a trade look like? Fansided's Marcus Smart trade idea, which is a little bit wonky in my estimation. And then we're, of course, going to get to topic number 2, the latest on Joel Embiid and his injury status moving forward from Tim Bontemps of ESPN. But today's poll question is this: do you want Marcus Smart on the Philadelphia 76ers? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Let me know what you're thinking about this down in the comment section right now. I'll let you know what I think about Prize Picks. It's the best daily fantasy sports app in the game and the only DFS app that you should be using. And it's not just me who's saying that. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action because over 10 million members are active on Prize Picks, and billions of dollars in awarded winnings have been given out. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. As we look ahead to the basketball season, Tyrese Maxey, more than 2.8 three-pointers made per game. Joel Embiid, more than 32.1 points per game average, and Victor Wembanyama, 24.7 points per game average. Let's go with the more there. That's how the game is played. Easy as that. And right now, you get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive that $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. As for the trade details here from Fansided, 76ers here in this trade proposal would receive Marcus Smart. Why I don't like this trade is everything that you are getting rid of, namely Kelly Oubre Jr. and Andre Drummond. This would deplete your depth. It would make you smaller. It would impact your wing defense and your front court defense and the rebounding that Andre Drummond gives Philadelphia. So when I look at that trade, I say, no, 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 no. I just wouldn't do it. Oh, no. It's just not a trade that I would pull the trigger on. And with Kelly Oubre, I like what he did last year for the Sixers team. He was athletic. He was versatile. He could be in that dunker spot. He could knock down the three. He created from time to time. He hit some clutch shots down the stretch. In the regular season, I thought the numbers were pretty good. He played some of the best ball of his career. And then in the playoffs, after a rocky first game or two, I thought he gave the Sixers team something. And he's a pretty good athletic defender who can guard point guards. He can also guard the wing a little bit. So what this trade does is it creates another problem. You lose wing defense and size, and then you lose the best backup center that Joel Embiid has ever had in Andre Drummond. And you brought Drummond in for a reason. We're about to talk about Joel Embiid. He doesn't think that he's ever going to play back-to-backs ever again. He's not playing in the preseason. They're managing his knee. They're going to manage his workload. He might not play 55 games this year. You need those Andre Drummond minutes. And if you lose him, Adem Bona, Gershon Yabusele, they're going to be your backup 5. So, Chip, for those reasons and more that you can also expand on, trade just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and I actually really like Marcus Smart as a player. I think he'd be a really good fit next to Tyrese Maxey in the backcourt because of, obviously, his defense, but the strides he's made as a player shooting from the outside, as a playmaker with the ball in his hands. I think he kind of fits exactly what this Sixers team could use in their starting lineup. But you can't just take Marcus Smart and drop him onto the Sixers.
Right.
He's making $20 million. So the Sixers just don't have the salaries to make a trade like this because they're paying Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Paul George so much money. This is kind of the problem they run into with the moves they made. No one else is really making a whole lot of money. So if you want to go and get a player that makes around $20 million, and all of a sudden you have to start packaging some of your other, next level salaries, and that's guys like Caleb Martin. That's guys like Andre Drummond. Guys like Kelly Oubre. And to me, a player like Marcus Smart, although I really like the player, I think he would fit very well if he can stay healthy. It's another guy who hasn't really had injury concerns his whole career, but last year they really popped up. If you could put him on the roster, great. But he's not enough of an upgrade for me to say I'll give up Kelly Oubre, who is a very important piece of this team, was very important last year, is going to be a starter this year.
Yep.
And then Andre Drummond, who then what? You're just going to hope that Adem Bona can be ready to play minutes, or you're just going to hope that Gershon Yabusele can hold up playing center for an entire season, which I think he can do in spots, but not for a whole year, right? So love Marcus Smart, love the player, but for what you'd have to give up to match the salaries there, to me, it just doesn't make sense and not a trade I'd be willing to make.
So a lot of you are probably already commenting about this trade down in the comment section right now, but we can prompt you specifically about this trade. Would you accept it? A for accept, D for decline. I'm hitting the D for decline, pause, and I am not accepting that trade because I just think it really hurts the Sixers' depth, and the Sixers' depth is something that I like about this basketball team. As for the latest on Joel Embiid, Tim Bontemps, ESPN, saying that the 76ers will hold Embiid out for the remainder of the preseason. Frankly, he doesn't need to play in the preseason. This should not be a surprise. I am a little bit worried, though, that we continue to get all these different updates on Embiid. And he went from the playoff series against the Knicks when the knee was hurting him, following that surgery, goes into the Olympics, doesn't look spry. You give him a contract extension. Now he's like away from the team. Embiid did meet with doctors last week to check on his knee. The meeting went well. Goal is to have him at 100% for the regular season, but that clearly means he wasn't playing in the Olympics at 100%. And I defended him wanting to play for the Olympics, like he grew up in Cameroon, and then he came to America. He played his high school ball here. This is what he calls home now, obviously, in the United States. It was a cool experience for him. He played a big role in the United States winning that gold medal in the semifinal match. He was absolutely sensational, and it's good that Embiid and the Sixers are prioritizing his health a little bit, and he doesn't need to play in the preseason, but you do have a lot of moving parts. You have a completely new roster, and you know how, like, in the NFL season, the month of September is extended preseason play and everything is disjointed. Nobody's on the same page. That might be the case to start the NBA season here for Philadelphia Embiid and the 76ers. Here's what Embiid did say on prioritizing his health. As soon as we lost last year, I texted Morey and I was like, we've got to do whatever it takes to make sure that in the postseason I'm healthy. This year, there's no agenda, all-star, all-NBA. There's none of that. We got to do whatever it takes to make sure that in the postseason I'm healthy. It's just the evolution of your body, getting older, finding ways to stay afloat, be as dominant as I've always been. If I had to guess, I would probably never play back-to-backs the rest of my career. There's a lot of Joel Embiid slander in the Chat Sports office here. People are like, oh, it's disgusting. He's never going to play in back-to-backs ever again. What if there's a must-win? Like, obviously, if the situation calls for itself and it's at the end of the year and Embiid needs to play in a back-to-back, like, of course he's going to play in a back-to-back. But this isn't an issue when LeBron James doesn't play back-to-backs or Kawhi, but it's always an issue when Embiid has to play back-to-backs. Whatever. We love Joel Embiid for who he is. He's a great player. But, Chip, what do you think about this? Because you and I were both like, yeah, I don't really give a damn. It's the regular season. Like, keep him healthy in the playoffs because he's always hurt in the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. And kind of figured he wouldn't play many back-to-backs, really. Of course, it's Joel Embiid. You know, he's going to say stuff like this. This is what he likes to do. The Sixers have, I counted them 14 back-to-backs this year, so that means if he misses all of them, at least one of the games, that's just 7 games he misses out of those 14 back-to-backs. He's not probably going to miss other games here and there. But like Chase, as you said, the regular season, Embiid knows this finally, which it has been a problem for Embiid up to this point in his career. He's said it, like he hasn't always loved the idea of being held out of games, and we saw it in the Warriors game last year when he was out there for no reason, clearly playing when he shouldn't have been, and that's when he suffered the injury that kept him out for a lot of the back half of last year. But now he knows, okay, I just got to be healthy for the postseason. Nick Nurse, Daryl Morey, they know that he has to be healthy. Nick Nurse has dealt with this with Kawhi Leonard. He missed a lot of games. And you could also tell just by the Sixers' actions, right? Going out and getting all this depth and adding a star like Paul George wasn't just because they wanted to have a big three, but was because they knew they needed to manage Embiid. Now, it does worry me a little bit that maybe this knee injury that's still lingering is a little worse and still affecting him more than maybe what we had initially thought it would, even from way back in the playoffs. So not a great sign. They say the plan's for him to be ready for the regular season.
Yeah.
From all accounts, it sounds like he should be good to go for that game on next Wednesday against the Milwaukee Bucks. Hopefully, this knee injury, as they continue to manage it, just kind of, he can manage it enough. But it's, again, no surprise to me that they just want to be healthy for the playoffs. They know they have the team, the star power, the depth to compete with the Boston Celtics and the New York Knicks in the East, and whoever they might potentially match up with in the West. They just have to stay healthy. At this point, Paul George, Joel Embiid, Morey mentioned Paul George also might not play a whole lot of back-to-backs as they manage his minutes, so a lot going to be on Tyrese Maxey. But they had the depth. They had the players for that. I don't think it's a bad thing at all that Embiid's not going to play a whole lot of back-to-backs. I could care less how many games he plays. Be healthy for the postseason. Be healthy for a playoff run and go from there. Until then, do whatever you need to do. Take care of yourself. Get your body right. Don't do what happened last year and get hurt trying to play and carry this team to games to wins. You don't have to do that this season.
Yeah, and of course, you want Maxey, George, and Embiid to play a lot together to work on that on-court camaraderie and have that harmonious relationship on the floor. All of that is important. But if they miss some games here and there because they're managing minutes to try to manage health, that is okay. Be sure to hit that subscribe button here on 76ers Now. It's the Chip and Chase Show. Thanks for rocking with us.